Hi, I'm Joy Schrum with thebayonet.com, and this is Election Watch 2018. And joining me right now is Jack Bailey, and he is running for Senate District 29. And thank you for joining us, Jack.
Thank you, Joy.
We're glad to have you here. Of course, this is already a pretty contentious competition right now. You're running against the incumbent Steve Waugh, and things are starting to heat up. But tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to run for Senate.
Well, I, as you know, live here in St. Mary's County. I was a policeman, a natural resource policeman for 30 years. I come from a long line of public servants. My dad, he was a state's attorney and public defender, John Bailey. Worked in Leonardtown, and then he was just a country lawyer. I think the best word would be a counselor. My mom, Jane Bailey, she was a school teacher. She taught from Calverton over into the different elementary schools in St. Mary's. My great uncle, Senator Paul Bailey, was a Republican senator here in St. Mary's, District 29, for 16 years, back when being a Republican wasn't such a popular thing. So after being a policeman, then as things progressed in my life and my career, I was a game warden over in St. Mary's and in Calvert. Started working on the Patuxent River, and then as time went on, I moved up, and I ended up working statewide. And while I worked statewide, I started working with the Fish and Wildlife Service. Started working on major cases involving conservation. Got introduced to the Department of Justice. As a result of those cases, I've become a expert, actually recognized nationally for my work in those cases. I went to school with Johns Hopkins. I did both my undergraduate and my graduate work there. I got my master's in management. So then my experience as being a legislator and working with the legislature, I've worked with a lot of senators, a lot of delegates. Under the Ehrlich administration, I was the actual legislative assistant and the legislative liaison. So I worked directly drafting bills, writing bill reports, working to see how much things cost. I worked with the Department of Legislative Services. I testified on bills on behalf of the administration. I lobbied senators and delegates about the bills. I was also the FOP president for 4 years, and during that time, I worked grassroots in Annapolis, working with the senators and the delegates. Gave me a lot of experience between my education and management and working there. I feel that I'm qualified to be the senator and to represent people. I know my way around Annapolis.
You have a big endorsement from Governor Larry Hogan. A lot of people were really surprised that he came out and endorsed ahead of the primary. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with the governor, how that kind of came about with his endorsement, and how you're working together as you move forward.
How honored I am to get that endorsement from the governor. The governor is a great man, and I really look forward to working with him in the future. One of the first times that I had the opportunity to actually be in the room and talk to him, he and I talked about the fact that we're going to differ on different bills because we have different constituents. Constituents from St. Mary's and Calvert County are very conservative, obviously. Constituents from around the state are different. So there will be times that we have different opinions. Governor looked at me and he said, "Will you always vote your conscience?" And I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I'll vote for the people of St. Mary's and Calvert County." He said, that's perfect. He said, "That's what I want." He said, "When you tell me that you're going to vote one way, are you going to leave here, walk across the hallway, and cast a vote that has the potential to make our schools less safe and to be the only Republican to vote against me when it comes to a veto?" I said, "No, sir." I said, "If I tell you I'm going to vote one way, that's the way I'm going to vote." And that was a discussion that we had. I was very fortunate he came down, invited him down to come to Bushwood to get the opportunity to be with the people of St. Mary's and Calvert County, and he came and we had a awesome fundraiser. And it was a great evening. It was a little wet, but I think everybody that came and got to see the pictures, see what a fulfilling evening it was.
You've received several other endorsements aside from Governor Hogan. Can you tell us about those?
Being a policeman, to get the Fraternal Order of Police, the State Lodge, 21,000 policemen and women have endorsed me.
Okay.
That was very important, and I really do. I'm honored for that. Red Maryland endorsed me. Dr. Dan Geary, he was actually opponent of Senator Wall and myself. He filed in the race. We met, we discussed agendas, and I actually, as you see on my platform, that health care is one of my agenda items. And the reason that it is I am going to work with Dr. Geary and his expertise so that we work towards a health care agenda for the rural areas, which includes St. Mary's and Calvert County. I received just recently, I received some of the commissioners' endorsements. I received Commissioner Jarbo and Commissioner O'Connor, and there is some endorsements right now that are being written from the delegation and and additional commissioners from Calvert County.
Okay. And we talked earlier before, you said if somebody had told you that you would be running for Senate a year ago, you wouldn't have believed them. But why the change of heart? Why are you seeking an elected position?
As you become more informed in life, and I was a public servant for years, and I want to continue to be a public servant. And I feel that I could definitely serve the citizens of District 29.
Okay. How do you feel you can serve them that they're not being served for right now? What changes would you like to see brought to this county?
Well, my opponent and I have completely two different management styles. His is derived from the military, and it's autocratic. It's all top-down management. It doesn't include involving the local or mid-level people. Our citizens, and we're very proud from St. Mary's and Calvert County, and we have a lot of elected officials. Our elected officials run our counties, and they should be able to run the counties the way they see fit, and the state should help them. The state should not micromanage them, whether it be the sheriff, the county commissioners, the superintendents of schools, or the school boards. They should all have a say in what happens locally. It should not be top-down driven. And that management style is very different. That's a democratic management style. That's what I studied. That's what I'm familiar with. That's what works in communities.
Well, let's talk about what your relationship would be with the commissioners if elected. How do you plan on working with them to make sure the needs of St. Mary's County are met?
Well, I think that the difference is the first thing is I want a brick and mortar office, and I will make sure that I have an office that is, and I am accessible to them. Obviously, their budget and their county, and it's their business. And it's not my role to try to micromanage, but to support them and work with them. Right now in St. Mary's County, we have Governor Hogan, Wall, Deb Ray, Matt Morgan, Jerry Clark, and then we go right down the list of commissioners. Every single person is a Republican, right? We should be making great strides over the last 4 years and moving forward. My opponent and the way he treats people and his status and the way he knows more than everybody else and doesn't include them is causing people to bicker and fight. That's not my style. That's not what I do. I work with people.